Placement. I don't know y'all be
water placement.
giving an essential every day, you know.
We live. Peace.
Peace, family. Peace, family. I'm just being honest. Connecting with the Black experience is your man, the most disliked popular guy, Barry Axius, and the most popular queen of them all, the fantabulous, back on the ground of Cali, the vacationist herself, Mama Ro.
Peace, Barry.
Peace, queen.
How you doing?
Good. And we got my brother from the Say Something podcast and the what is it, Jermaine Morris morning podcast?
Cold Cup of Coffee.
Cold Cup of Coffee podcast. My brother, my partner in fiction and fact, Jermaine Morris. Let's give a big hand for Jermaine Morris coming today. We're gonna try to end our 2019, as y'all folks should also know. 2019 not only means the end of 2019, it means the end of a decade. So what we're going to do is each Tuesday going to try to bring in a special guest. I believe that one of the Tuesdays I won't be here, so I'm going to ask Jermaine if he could probably sit into my place. And, man, Tuesday.
So awesome.
Yeah, because I'm going to be gone. I'm finally going to. I have to put him on the spot. You like that, right? I'm finally going to go.
Nah.
I'm finally going to go and get some vacation time.
What?
Oh, yeah, exactly. I'm going to New York for a little bit to go visit moms and some family, get away for 2.5. So I won't be here. But guess what? We have Jermaine being our co-host, special guest, analyst, breakdown. He's going to be here. Him and Mama Ro's going to shut it down unless Mama Ro decide since I'm leaving, she getting on a plane because she want to go visit somebody or somebody needs her to go speak. I'm just saying. That's
I even canceled my Africa trip. I'm not going to go to.
Where'd you cancel?
I was going to Ghana and to Benin, but I just need it. It's Christmas. I'm not a Christmas person, but I was about to say,
Negro, I don't know about this Christmas thing you're talking about. No, because I want to
spend time. Well, I have this time off. I want to spend time with my nieces and nephews, great nieces and nephews, and. I gotta stop from it. And they're off because they're on break. Okay. So,
So you gonna be here.
But I will be going to Christmas dinner and stuff like that. Don't get it twisted. Like I don't really celebrate like that, but I will show up and eat all your food and take gifts. Don't get twisted.
Don't even play around.
And Kwanzaa's coming up, so
yeah, we gonna celebrate the Kwanzaa, no doubt. So, and in the end of the day, like I said, Jermaine, we appreciate you coming and step in. I mean, like you like that. I force people into it.
I'll be out of the country though next week, man.
Next week? When?
I remember I leave for Colombia.
When are you leaving?
Next week.
Like when next week though?
When you be back?
Tuesday night.
Okay, exactly. Tuesday night. What you talking about? You can be here Tuesday morning.
When you be back?
Be gone a week.
Oh, yeah, when you leaving?
I'm leaving on Saturday, but I'll be back on the 11th. He'll be here. He'll be all right. You got it in the morning.
We're passing each other in the airport.
Yeah, right. We're gonna go. Yeah, definitely.
We're passing each other in the airport.
But let's get into it. Shouts out to everybody that made Black Friday Sacramento a super duper success. Applaud. Thank you, everybody. My partners in the Friday Black Coalition, Aisha, Ransom, Dana, Maisha, us as organizers of the Black Friday Coalition, putting something together that was phenomenal. We know this is our second real time putting this event together. Before it was, we did it on a Saturday, but that wasn't really cultivating what we really needed to do purposefully. And this year, purposely was driven not only by us, but about the people. And the special part of it all the way, it was 98% sponsored by us. We didn't get any sponsorship from all these big, folks or folks in these positions of power to kind of capitalize and motivate and kind of propel Black people. We got nothing from them, and I'm going to be very plain about that. We got absolutely nothing. But for the folks that did give, V101, 97.5, Sacramento B did a great article. Good Day Sacramento, and Walmart, we got some stuff from them. I definitely want to give a shout out. Also, Sac Hub, magazine, definitely want to push a shout out. California Black Media, want to give a shout out for constantly pushing the agenda of blackness. Well, I won't say all of those folks in particular, but some folks understanding, in the positions that they're in, to be able to have to navigate what we're doing, and we do appreciate that, because pulling these events off is tedious, it's tiring, it's difficult, it's frustrating, and we're trying to do something that has not really been done on a consistent basis in our city. Though we do have a lot of big festivals, I don't think that our festivals really stand out in a way of saying this is exactly why we're doing it. And ours are like, you are knowing why we do it. Even with Good Day Sacramento, they were saying buy and build black. You know what I'm talking about? And we are very current in our agenda. And I say current in our agenda, meaning that we're not trying to say that black people just come out shopping. We're trying to say black people come out, create, come out and build, come out and be owners, and let's come and change our narrative. So there's a kind of different idea of what we're doing. We're not doing it to make folks feel comfortable. We're not doing it for folks to feel like we have to do it this way and do it that way. We're doing it the way we see it supposed to be fit. And we are talking about spending and buying and supporting black because it's necessary, because it's not happening. I don't want to hear about the little small black businesses that we have that are in growing numbers, thank goodness, but we need to have more. We need to have what we did be a normal situation, normalize it in a way that everything else is normalized, right? I want to be in a place with my partners, and I hope a lot of folks follow me when I say this, where we don't say support black businesses anymore. That's just what it is.
Right on.
And I think that us doing this event, Black Friday, Shop Black Friday Sacramento, it cultivated a lot of energy. The vibes excellent, and it was a lot more than just shopping black. It was just us creating culture, and I feel like the culture here in Sacramento is definitely changed within the last 5-6 years. I'm proud to say that I'm one of those folks that are pushing that that mantle, as my sister is as well, as my brother is as well. Just creating a different idea of what we do. And again, I think the normalization of what we're doing and what we're saying and how we're resonating it in action, it comes from this place in my heart that I've watched us beg, I've watched us borrow, I've watched us plead, I've watched us be docile, I've watched us submit, I've watched us segregate, I've watched us, trying to be everything that they said we couldn't be, or be individuals who they said we should be because it made them feel comfortable. And those folks, I say them, folks should already know what I mean. It's the system, it's pale people who have the power, and at the end of the day, for me, that didn't feel comfortable for who I was. And my narrative is different. And the narrative that they've created for us is giving us a white Santa Claus, has given us a white Jesus, has given us white domination, to the point where you don't even know if I did bring a black Santa, if I did say black Jesus, people would look at me like I was crazy, when that should be the exact opposite. We had a black Santa Claus, and I'm not for Christmas. I don't care nothing about any of these European holidays, but I know my people are submitted to it. So I say create the alternative, and the alternative is have a black Santa Claus. And that's, I think, our biggest agenda driver, is changing the narrative, creating the alternative. We're not going to be like other leaders who want to just kind of push an issue about certain agendas or certain things that plague us. I always look about the economic crusade. What are we doing economically to build? And if we're not doing something economically to build and have a base, then we really don't have any place to stand on, because at the end of the day, we can sit there and say we want to abolish this, we can want to abolish that, stop killing us, and all these different beautiful things. But then after that's done, then what? We still don't have the certain things that we need to be sustainable. So building into our economics is sustainability. It's not taking away from others, it's just building our own. Asians are doing it, Middle Easterns are doing it, Samoans are doing it, Latinos are doing it. Everybody does it. White folks, that's their collective. The Jews are ultimately like the finessers of it all, right? Everybody is doing it. And for us to not think that that's important, for us to actually have this idea that we should just be submissive and just kind of roll with the punches, is almost an attitude of suicide, and an attitude of allowing the next generation behind us to feel that it's okay to be submissive, it's okay to never own things, it's okay to never have things. And I know there's a lot of black owners, and I know there's a lot of black people that have created and built businesses, but we're talking about black people celebrating that they're in black business. Now, black business does not mean all we doing is buying and selling to black folks. No, it's just we're proud of having black businesses. And our attitude is we are black in business, but we are selling to everyone. And we're no longer going to allow folks to take our culture, utilize our culture, and resell it back to us for a higher price. So
Barry, how was the Black Friday? How did it go?
It was phenomenal in a sense of, like I said, it showed growth and it showed build. And that attitude that I have about that is, this is what we have to continue to do to shove and push a narrative that I don't believe gets highlighted enough. And that's what we did on every single platform. Every single platform was unapologetic by our stance, our excellence, and this is also white platforms, right? So it wasn't the white platform we sat there and said, well, you know, this is a holiday. No, it was just a black event. You know what I mean? And then turn around and go on the black one, be more ferocious and fearful. Not fearful, but go in there with more bravery, like, yeah, this is a black event. No, we stood with our standard in every goddamn platform, saying what it is. And if you don't like it, then that's something more wrong with you. But if we, as black people, are going to move anywhere further than we are right now, we have to be okay with saying that this is a black-driven agenda. This is black ideology. Everybody is welcome because we want all their money, but we're not afraid to call it exactly what it is.
Right on, right on. So thank you for giving us that update. That was really, really important because, as you know, historically, we've always had to support each other. So I felt like we're basically learning from the past once again, going and doing what your ancestors have done, but to the 20th power. We should already be at the 100th power, to be honest with you, because we don't have half the stuff they had going on. So thank you, Barry, to you. Who is part of your coalition?
Aisha Ransom and Dana Maisha, right, as far as the lead push organizers. But I mean, when you talk about Black Friday Coalition, the coalition really exists in all of us. Everybody that shared, everybody that brought something to the table. I mean, my brother Jermaine Morris, is a beautiful thing when you have individuals in your corridor, his voiceovers helping us kind of promote that kind of piece, the imagery, from some of the different colleagues that kind of all said, let's use our talents to push this agenda. And I feel like that's what we have to do. We can't keep on protesting and begging and marching, and then we don't have any foundation built after that. Like, to me, we have to get it and do it because it recognizes a different beast, right? But then we got to pull back and say, okay, so now what's our game plan? And my game plan, and I hope everyone else's game plan, is to build and not to be docile in the build and make people feel comfortable. Like, why is people so uncomfortable with black people having shit? Why is it when black people want to have nice stuff, motherfuckers want to act all like, oh my God, black people want to have their own shit?
Because they own black people. Don't nobody want their dog to go get their own house. Shit, you supposed to do, the dog's supposed to be there to please you.
Man, you ain't lying.
I mean, I'm just saying. No, I'm not saying we're dogs. I'm just saying people may see us as dogs.
No, you saying it right.
Look here, get back in your place. I didn't say you could do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why I think it is important to really understand the enslavement period so we can understand the mindset. I think we struggle sometimes with mindsets in terms of the origins of where this comes from. Mm-hmm. We like to do la fantasy land, like saying we the descendants of Egyptians, but we can't build a pyramid in the backyard with 3 twigs. Like, I don't understand it. But anyway.
I mean, or no, real talk. Or we're the builders of all, but then we're not really building.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That don't even make any sense. So a nigga want to tell me all about the history, but then when it's like, okay, well, let's get it done. Oh, man, I'm just afraid they're going to break it down. A nigga can talk about Black Wall Street. Oh, well, if we do it again, I mean, all they're going to do is burn it down. That shit sounds silly to me.
I agree.
And I believe that the pale folk, the white folks, I don't think they're going to censor me this time. They've been cool for me a little bit. Who knows? I honestly believe they have more respect with the black fighter than the black beggar.
I agree.
You know what I'm talking about? I mean, because they're going to hear us beg, or yell at them. But then it's almost ultimately like, okay, nigga, then do it yourself without our help. And if we're not doing that, then, we don't necessarily have power, because after a while, they know every way of how to slow us down and shut us up. We have to be able to do things outside of what they feel is normal.
So let's jump into something real quick. Let's talk about y'all's father, Bill Cosby. Here's an elder who did a lot of building. I mean, regardless of what people think about Bill Cosby, for real, he did put a lot of people through school. I hate to say it like this, because it's like, he did get convicted of doing something, and it wasn't cool. But What's going on with our dear brother? Anybody? I know they talked about his prison and everything, but how's he doing?
Bill Cosby, a.k.a. Slick Willie from Philly.
He don't want to be from North Philly, though, which he is.
I mean, I think true that he has a history. He did a lot of great things. And I think that I'm one that I can separate the works from the person. Because I think that if you look at the great works of anybody who's ever walked the face of the earth, you can find something that they did that you wouldn't co-sign.
That's so true.
So now, let's just say he did half of what he was accused of. Let's just for the sake of we're gonna concede to half. Then he's at home, and that's where he's supposed to be. You know, so I could appreciate the work that he did. I can say personally from what the Cosby Show did and what A Different World did, more so A Different World for me than the Cosby Show. A lot of great ideas, new perspective. It was very beneficial to my upbringing. But Bill out there double downing, so he's still talking mess from the cell.
What?
Yeah, so he's out there.
Come on, this is the dude who gave speeches about black people and their ethnic names, and now he in there with Ray Ray and all them.
Pants sagging and everything like that.
And to the audience of people who don't really care for black folks anyway, he was gladly to give these speeches about what we're not doing and being the perfect Negro, and you know, and now this fool is in jail with Ray Ray.
He's still giving speeches.
They gotta put him in the cell with Ray Ray, so Ray Ray check his ass and be like, "Look here, player."
Oh, he's a hero on there. He's still giving speeches. He's still giving.
But are they the same speeches though? Is he doing the same speeches like downplaying black folks?
He's saying he a political prisoner. He's saying he a political prisoner. That this is just all drummed up. That he a victim. That he got railroaded by the system.
Oh, damn. See, I think the hardest thing sometimes about being black sometimes is how people jump on your bandwagon when shit go wrong. But when they high and flying, they ain't saying shit. Really, they not. I mean, it's kind of like you get to use those things. It's like a part of your chest. Like, how do you pull at black people's emotions? Like, we know black men, you know, are targeted and marginalized. But Bill Cosby going now come in like, that's his story?
Yeah, I'm kind of
confused.
I'm very confused on that. So you're saying that he said he's a political prisoner. Why is he saying that? Because you know a little bit more about the story than you know.
I just know he was saying that this was unjust. That this isn't. So I mean, also take into consideration he's not in prison for the 60 whatever women over the years. He's in prison for the one. So if his argument is, I didn't do that to her, so I shouldn't be here. I don't know if he did or not. Now he's not. Now I've never heard the case. You know, if he can honestly stand on that, where he's saying, look, if they'd have got me for any of them other women, then maybe I'd have taken his L, but not from her. Like the one that they got me for, what was it, how they got Capone for tax evasion? Like, they didn't get him for all the stuff that they should have got him for. So I think he might be standing on the fact that what he got convicted of was untrue.
So did Bill Cosby get set up then?
Yeah, he got set up with his penis in his hands and the Quaaludes got set up with.
I don't know if the
he
judicial
set up there and did all these women. But go ahead.
I don't know if it's a case that the judicial system got it right or accordingly, or if just the hands of justice finally got a hold of him.
I think it's the hands of justice finally got a hold of him.
I don't know if I don't know if the situation with that particular woman is true or not. Yeah, is the way, because there are some sketchy things involved, and they changed the law a little bit to get him because it was past the time limit, and they made an exception to get him. Yeah. So, but I think this just might be the case of the universe lining up and saying, we're going to get you for the ones we should have got you for.
It's just an OJ thing. And I think that...
wait, you said it's an OJ thing?
Oh, for sure. And it's a Rodney Reed thing. You know what I mean? The Rodney Reed guy who was supposed to... I want to say, hopefully it's Rodney Reed, but the guy that was supposed to get executed in Texas.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. I want to believe he's Rodney Reed. I know his last name is Reed for short. Yeah. But... I think this is a perfect lesson to understand the value of what, again, Shop Black Friday Sacramento is doing, creating our own narrative, changing the ideology, and also not continuing to beg and borrow and feel comfortable in spaces that we shouldn't feel comfortable in. The Negro Cosby got too comfortable. And the reality of Cosby is he was a playboy, just like all the other playboys, in a time and a place where that kind of culture with quaaludes and sexuality and orgies and drugs was prominent, and everybody was involved. Nobody was exempt. Right. And the reality becomes a Me Too movement. The reality becomes he pisses off a few of those people he shouldn't piss off. The reality is, black man, whether you do a crime in 1999 and it's 2020, you will be convicted in 2021. So what I'm saying is, black man law is not limited to what they say is a statute of limitation, because you are exempt from law actually working for you. The law works against us on every given Sunday, whether you are rich, whether you're poor, or whether you're right in the middle of a black man or black woman. And I think that's the thing that Bill Cosby, because did Bill Cosby do something wrong? I would say yes. But did Bill Cosby deserve to be in prison for doing something wrong? I will say no, because the law provided by, if the system is supposed to work, the statute of limitation was gone. So it doesn't matter if the woman comes back and says it now. He's not supposed to be tried on that.
But now we have Me Too. I think there should be no statutory or when you victimize somebody. That's
but then why did they put that?
Became a Jehovah's Witness and then sit next to guys.
Okay, but then why put that in law?
Well,
I'm just going into the law.
No,
you're right.
I agree. But I'm just saying, I think sometimes I'm thinking about Do the Right Thing when it says, what's that? Michael Jordan, Mike Tyson, and somebody else, that those are not niggas. I think some of us believe that we're really not the N-word, but then white people have a way of saying, but you really are. I don't care if I let you eat in my house. I don't care if I let you screw my daughter. When I'm sick of you, I'm sick of you, and you got to go away now, Mr. Cosby. Like, you know, you got to go. We haven't got Weinstein, but we'll take you. Nigga, you know you're going first. The first person to die in the American Revolution was a black man. Mm. So Bill Cosby's he's the first casualty in this goddamn war.
Yeah, and I think that what you're saying.
No, he won't be the last.
Well, they got Russell Simmons. He left the country.
They got Cuba Gooding Jr. right now.
And they got Cuba Gooding.
Russell left?
Russell Simmons left. As soon as it got hot, as soon as they started popping off, Russ. That nigga was out of here. Russell got some skeletons as well. Because every single
rush card.
Every single Negro who had some bit of power, who felt that now they were accepted in white society, trust me and believe me, them niggas was dibbling and dabbling. And it's I could put a 98% that was a reality. Because the culture was the culture. It was so funny. I was listening to Keith Sweat, right? And I was listening to Keith Sweat, and he was talking about
you may be young, but you're
ready. You may be young, but you're ready. So Queen sis, ready to learn.
Yo, that's that rape culture. But go ahead.
So what I'm saying, but it wasn't rape back then. And then on top of that, I'm just saying what it was and what it wasn't. I mean, we can
for
debate.
For some people, it wasn't.
It was the queen.
It was victimization, but it wasn't rape.
Okay. So,
but it creates the culture to make rape okay.
Which is why I'm saying that the slight difference.
But that's what the thing about it, because all parties was okay with it.
Not all parties. The parties that participated in that party was.
What I'm saying is this.
Okay.
There were, perfect example. Aaron Hall was a 30-year-old man dating and impregnating a 16-year-old Latino girl.
Aaron Hall from
Guy. Yes.
What? Okay.
Yes. But now her name was Gloria. Now, did she look like a 16-year-old? Hell no. When I'm explaining to you, again, going to the Keith Sweat lyrics. Let me sing it again.
You may be wrong, but you're
ready.
Okay,
listen. All right. So what does that mean? That means that, yes, you are a young woman, but man, every other part of you says that you're ready, and even in the mental, even though they were not. And then even going to KRS-One. The girls look so good, but their brain is not ready. I don't know, right?
I'd rather talk to a woman because her mind is so steady.
I'm just saying.
So here we go.
So You have even going to
That's
E40. Even going to
What E40
E40,
say?
she was only 16. Right? And he breaks down the whole like only 16. Do as it goes crazy. Yeah, go listen to
I
these
remember
lyrics.
dancing to backstage,
Underage,
underage, adolescent. How you doing? Fine.
She's fine.
damn.
The light do the wild thing.
Yeah. Action took place.
Hey.
Don't
forget
the
the
J,
J,
the I, the M, the M, the Y, y'all.
I need a body bag.
So
This
wait
is
a minute.
yes.
So wait
Yes.
a minute, Barry. Wait
Yes.
a minute. Wait a minute.
Let's go into the culture.
So somebody said to me once that it feels like our community is full of a bunch of predators. All of this shit sounds very predatory to me.
I'm not denying
From
that it is.
a side of a woman, not necessarily because some women dance like the same thing. Women dancing in NWA and bitch and all that. So I get it, but I'm saying, yeah, there's something very predator-ish about some of this shit we're singing.
So the only difference between us and other cultures is that we're the only ones that put our predatory behavior to music. So every other culture has them. If you go through Latino culture, there's a whole lot of grown-ass men who are hollering at 14-year-old girls.
Right
Asian culture, there's a lot of grown men with young girls. Caucasian culture, pedophilia runs rampant.
Yes.
We're the only ones that
But doesn't make it better.
no, it doesn't.
Doesn't.
I'm saying we don't have a predatory culture specifically. I said we the only one that put it to a beat you can dance to.
Yeah.
I think we do have a predatory.
No. I'm saying we the only ones. Yes, there are predators in our culture. We the only ones that have a soundtrack for it.
Gotcha.
Everybody do it.
Yes.
Right.
Everybody
But
do it.
we the only
I'm
ones
just saying,
that.
and because you guys have to understand, like, and I know folks who are paying attention and listening to it, like, damn, they popping up their old CDs or going on iTunes and like, oh shit, Tidal, and be like, damn, because if you listen to that, what that was representing is what our culture was at that particular time. Was it wrong per se to say now? Yes. But that's what it was.
That's what
so
it is
Bill,
today.
and it still is,
Yes,
but
it is
still today, but it's now being labeled as statutory rape. It's now being labeled as these things that it wasn't once before. And that's why, do you think these grown-ass men, if it was labeled as anything negative, that they would be saying these things? No.
Yes, they would.
No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't be
Yes,
saying
they
on lyrics.
would.
They
Yes,
wouldn't be
they would.
Queen,
Yes,
they would not
they
be
would.
saying on lyrics. No way.
The porn industry is $1 billion industry. Come on. And
But it
half
has-
the shit comes from the middle of the country where they don't even
but that has
supposedly
nothing.
do stuff like
but that has nothing to do. Porn and Negroes who are grown, who are singing to an audience of millions of people, saying backstage, underage. If they knew that they're going to go to jail for that, they would not say that. They wouldn't say that.
Barry,
No, they
did
wouldn't.
that in rock and roll.
Nah,
People went
why
to jail
are
for doing
why
shit
are
like
no
that in
no
rock.
why
That's
are no
always
they
been a part
haven't
of
why
rock
are
and roll.
niggas going to jail
What
on
do
that
they
right now?
haven't?
Why
They
are
locked
niggas doing
people
that?
up for saying just little things back in the day. in
Okay,
rock and
but
roll
what I'm
concerts.
asking you
So
this
come
though,
on now.
why are they not going back to Key Sweat? Why aren't they going to E40?
Because
Why on
and no
BBD?
women came up and said
on
Keith
now.
Sweat did something. Somebody has to come up and say something.
Because
maybe Bill Cosby didn't pay enough money.
Okay, and
I don't know.
And let me tell you why. Because Bill Cosby, in a sense of what he did, R. Kelly, in the sense of what he did, them Negroes played themselves thinking that they were untouchable in reality, because all these Negroes have touched, not all these Negroes, but some of these Negroes have done and fondled. They've said it in their lyrics. So I'm not going to sit there and say you can't justify it by how they lived. It was a part of a culture, and that's what kind of Negroes was doing.
I think if you live it, it's yours to be responsible of. You don't get to throw everything on the culture. If you do some shit,
How
you
was it
can't
not a
say,
culture?
"Oh my God, I was doing this part of the culture." You did it.
Come on.
That's called taking
But
responsibility.
again,
You did it.
Again,
all of
it's
us
part
lived
of
in the culture and didn't participate in what was going on in the culture. Some people are real good bystanders, be like, "I'm not gonna do that shit." Some people are like, "I'm gonna do that shit because I can blame it on somebody else." Come on, when you do it, you immediately become responsible for it. You don't get to hold the world responsible for a choice you made.
But it doesn't mean that's not a part of what a culture was, though.
Just
Man,
what I
go
hear
ahead.
between the two of y'all. So
Now, be the referee today.
No.
I finally got a referee when Mama will go to that stage. Thank you, brother.
Oh, wait, Barry, are you serious?
no, so
Go ahead, Jermaine.
you are responsible for whatever it is you do.
Right now.
So with that's not a debate or a discussion if you're responsible.
Right on.
But B, you have to incorporate the culture as well. So there was a time period. So domestic violence has been big this last decade.
Yes.
It predicates the Me Too. If you go talk to anybody, talk to your grandparents, and talk. They used to talk about husbands used to have to tune up their wives.
Right on.
That if all of a sudden she got mouthy, she got loud, putting hands on your wife was commonplace up until about 20 years ago.
Yes.
And then, like, you may not look at granddaddy that way now.
I get that.
But you talk to grandma about what granddaddy was like in the 50s and 60s when she got too lippy. And that they used to pop a woman. They used to all watch the old black and white movies where the woman would get loud. And this is white people. Backhand, honeymooners. One of these days, Alice, bang, boom, right to the moon.
To the moon.
So domestic violence back then was culturally acceptable.
Yes.
Does that mean that it's okay to hit your wife?
No.
That's
No.
my point.
And are you responsible for hitting
But
your
that
wife?
was the point that I was making.
Yeah.
But
But I know I was making that point.
You were not making
yes,
that
I
point.
was.
You were putting it on culture.
No, it was a part of the
No,
culture.
but just because it's part of a culture doesn't make it right.
No, I never said it was right. I said
You
that
never
was
said
culture.
that, but you didn't say
I
it
know.
wasn't.
I
You
said
just
it's
said
a
it's
part of
all
culture,
Barry.
but that doesn't mean that the fact that they were doing was acceptable. But go ahead, Jermaine. Break
that's
it
all.
on.
It was things that were culturally acceptable. You still, as an individual, have a choice to make.
That's where I'm at.
And so individually, you are accountable for whatever you do. There was a time period where it was not against the law for a grown man to marry a child.
Yes.
There are some dudes who just wasn't on that. It was culturally acceptable to do certain things, drinking and driving. It was culturally acceptable to smoke in public areas.
Yes, it was.
It was culturally acceptable. There's all kinds of things, but you make an individual choice of what you want to be a part of. And there are some people that I don't care what you do. I don't feel like, what do the five fingers say to the face to some woman because she say something I don't like, regardless if no one's going to say anything about it or not. It just may not be. Look, I didn't go to jail for beating Tina like that.
Not at all.
And everybody around him knew what it was. But it was acceptable amongst them people there for him to touch.
Because everybody else was getting touched up as well.
But I'm saying, so
James Brown, the king of soul, he was a woman beater. A woman beater. And we hold him to the highest level. What I'm saying is that it was culturally accepted. Not saying that it was it was individuals should have been more responsible. Yeah. Rick James, as you about to say, I mean,
he died a hero.
Times.
Rick James died a hero,
yes.
And that man went to prison for having that woman
kidnapped
in the basement and burned her with a crack pipe. Like, I mean, and Rick James died a hero to us.
That ain't funny, but
it's the truth, though.
But it is. But he did. He died a hero. When Rick James died, the world shed a tear.
Yeah.
But we ain't gonna act like he didn't do what he did.
So culturally, it was the thing, and it was norm. As I said again, we normalize certain things. We don't normalize supporting black business. You understand what I'm saying? We don't normalize talking about these issues because culturally it was accepted to be one of those things. Like back in the day, I hope nobody goes, oh my God, this. Me and my boys used to slap girls' behinds just to get their attention. And culturally that was okay because sometimes a chick would be like, boy, or most of the times like, what's up with you? And it was like, that's what we did. Like, let me go get her attention.
I'm not.
But that's just reality.
But I think what I struggle with is that, and maybe this is just what I'm hearing. When I hear culture, we do this thing like a monolith. There was a crack culture and all of us didn't participate in it. There was a pimp culture, all of us did not participate in it.
But it still was a culture.
No. But it wasn't the all culture. Now, I love an I statement. I love when people say, I did this and I can own up to it or, whatever. But when we throw that culture over it, it feels like everybody was participating in it. I've known people who lived in communities that were drug infested and made a vow not only to get their ass out, but never to come back. Am I mad at those people? Hell no, because who the hell wants to live around people who takes no responsibility for destroying their own community? No. Who the hell wants to do that?
I mean, I get it. But I'm saying
I get it, but you don't include
but I know I get it. But at the end of the day, it's like, of course, I'm not saying when I say culture doesn't mean every individual is in part of it. The crack era hit me. I never did. I was going by the rules of don't get high off your own supply and don't do none of that shit. I didn't even sell crack. That's what I felt my claim to fame was like, okay, I'm gonna sell some weed, but I ain't gonna sell no crack. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna sell some ecstasy, but I ain't gonna sell no crack. You know what I mean? That was my thing, right? I felt honorable about that.
Just saying,
but I'm just saying, as a overall culture, we cannot deny that culturally it was accepted. Not saying all of us were involved. That's my.
I always say it was acceptable by those who made it. I didn't listen to. I'm not a big West Coast fan because I never really care for the music. I did not listen to NWA because it's too slow for me, and to me it's mindless. For me, Barry. Okay. For me.
I'm from here,
yeah,
so I feel a little differently about
right.
West Side.
Just because I said that, don't give you the right to be like, it's the bomb for you. Okay. And as black people, we got to learn to say words like some. In the culture I was in, it was acceptable. My dad told me once that he slapped my mom one time. And not only did she break every motherfucking dish over his head, her brothers came around the corner with their hunting rifles to fuck my dad up. So that culture did not reign in my house or in my community. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And so you can say, hey, in the community I was in,
but
that rang true.
Stick right with your example. Right with your example.
Right on.
The culture where you came from, it was acceptable to mop somebody up who put hands on your sister.
Right, damn right.
But that's a culture.
That was a culture I grew up in.
Yeah, but not everybody would agree with that.
Exactly.
In that area.
But it still was a culture.
No, but what I'm saying
that's what I'm saying.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you.
Right.
So I'm saying, so in that same environment where you're like, what happened? Well, Stevie, Ray, and Jim Boy went over here and had to put hands on Steve. Why? Because Steve put hands on Jenny. All right. Well, that's what happens.
Right now.
There's other people like, no, that was wrong, and they shouldn't have did him like that, whatever. The same way over here where there was people, what happened?
I agree.
He touched up his wife. Why? She was out of pocket. All right. Or there was still people who like, you ain't got no business doing that. And you ain't got, you know what I mean? So I don't think it's just a all or nothing.
Right on.
I think so to say that there was a culture of people who was acceptable to do a certain thing, that's just saying also. There was not only.
But you use the word also, which implies there's another world.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Also, not only.
I agree with that. That's why sometimes I'll say some or the tradition that I'm from. I make it a point to be like, this is what I'm speaking for, because far too often in black culture we do this monolith that is not.
But you just
true.
said black culture.
I said in black culture we do this thing where we make everything a monolith. Like that means that it was all one big brush. And we do that a lot. We do that. Not all of us. And I always say not all of us. See what I'm saying? I'm leaving room for the others.
But I don't think that we stated. But I'm in a majority lens. Just
you can't say majority. You can't say majority. That's what I'm saying. You keep trying to get to that broad brush.
A good high percentage.
You can't say that either.
I just speak to a percentage.
There you go.
A good high percentage.
I don't even say high or low. I just say a percentage of the population.
A good high percentage.
Bam,
and I don't use I statements for those because it predates me.
Yeah.
So it was before my time. So I'm not included in the conversation because I wasn't present for it.
Right on.
So that's why
like I say, high percentage. But nevertheless,
Barry,
I'm just saying, no,
you just can't live without that model.
Not really.
You just can't. I
just see for what
all
it
I'm
is.
saying is your world is not my world, and not the
it is a little. Our world is
it's not the same. It's not the same. We are going side by side in different experiences, and that's okay.
It's blended, but in the reality, what we do look at it with Cosby, I think we should all agree that the system showed him that he's still a Negro.
The system gave justice to some women who would have never got justice if we were going by the group that you're talking about. The norm you talk about in the culture would have still been reigning, and those women would have never gotten justice.
Okay, but
I don't give a fuck about the white people. I'm glad he got his.
Okay, but reality is there are still people like Woody Allen still around.
Why are you comparing?
We celebrated.
Why can I get? That's the immoralness of some of us.
Celebrate.
That's immoral. That's immoral. What you get ready to say?
We still celebrate. Barry. What was his name?
That's immoral.
The Playboy guy.
Hefner.
We celebrate him like he's a god. Like he's a god. I mean, he went down. I had people arguing back and forth with me like Hugh Hefner was different than Bill Cosby.
But let's also be honest too. Is that I don't necessarily.
We always being honest.
But I don't put it completely on race because
me neither.
Because it's also class. Because if Bill didn't have money, he would be doing more than 3 years.
You better shut your mouth.
Because Bill's coming home in 2 years.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but at the same time.
Christmas of 20.
They had been somebody's real granddaddy.
Christmas of 2022. Bill's gonna be at the house with Camille.
Yeah.
So
and the thing about it, just like OJ, he's gonna be a legend. He's gonna be legendary.
Oh, he's legendary in prison right now.
Yeah, he's legendary. So, I mean, to be honest with you, Bill Cosby's street cred is just kind of risen up. And,
I wouldn't want to be in that street cred. That's what I'm saying.
I myself
wouldn't
want to sit there
and comparing crime to crime. Like, who the fuck does that?
Yeah, but
that's crazy.
That
means that you cannot make a society with people like that because, they have no justice and no accountability and no sense of people getting their just dessert in our own community.
And that's why sometimes I believe that why black people, we are caught into this kind of unfortunate monkey trap and like this mouse trap, because we will talk and consistently want accountability, transparency from every other individual, police. We want that, but we won't do it for ourselves.
I agree with that.
Oh, we agree finally?
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. Oh, there's no barriers.
I'm just messing with you, girl.
Hey, well, I'm from the East, so you would be out on the street having heated ass conversations, but it don't mean shit.
Nah,
I was like, I see you later on. All right, bam.
No.
So I just think with Bill Cosby, I think he represents different things to different people. Yeah. And if you ever been a victim, if you ever been raped or molested or incested, that means something very different than somebody having an opinion about how they see Bill Cosby or Cliff Huxtable. Because some people think they're looking at Cliff's ass. I don't know. But I feel like we leave that part out. The victims, we leave them out on our own political, how we feel about being attacked as a black person. This dude shouldn't even do what Jews do. When a Jewish person do something fucked up, they act like the person ain't Jewish. They be like, like Madoff. I don't know nothing about that. Okay. He robbed other Jews. They was like, he ain't Jewish. We still gonna be claiming people when their asses is wrong. We don't even know how to let go on Negroes. Like, let that Negro go. He be all right.
No, again, we agreeing again. We back on our agreeing shit. I'm all for everything my sister said, because I don't give two damns about what happens to Bill Cosby. Why? Because, nigga, you should have never played the pale face game. And I'll give you a perfect example. As soon as I said the W, I'm trying to share this live. Yeah. It won't even let me share it. I done shared it 3 times.
I think you have a fan inside of Facebook.
I don't know what it is, but it's like
somebody who's in
this is crazy. I'm sharing it. It's not popping up on my thing. So if somebody sees it on my page, please tell me, because the only thing I see is our advertisement. So that's what happens. So we all understand the game that we're in, and when you, as a black man or woman, start to piss off the powers that be until they lose ultimate power, they will show you that you're still a Negro. And I think this is the real reason why Bill has got his just dessert and his just due. I am excited that women have become vindicated in that. My frustration only into that is that if we're going to go after Bill, go after all of them. And that's my own conflict in this matter, because you still have these predators moving in spaces. Weinstein, why is it taking so long to finally get him in trial? Kevin Spacey got 2 of the people that accused him of whatever, and they end up dead. You know what I'm talking about?
Maybe they do their justice a little differently.
We definitely know that.
Dead, I don't know how you compare it to
because I'm going to tell you right now.
Why didn't somebody just handle Bill Cosby if that's the case? Why didn't somebody handle R. Kelly if that was the case?
Niggas ain't going to do that.
Care.
I mean, say that again?
Because we don't care. And at the same time, let's go deeper. Why is George Zimmerman still around?
That's because y'all don't care.
We don't care.
All y'all want to do is make money off a dead person. Y'all don't really want no damn justice.
Dylan Roof is still alive.
We don't care.
And here's another thing. The other police officer that sat there and killed the woman that was playing the video game. He's not even a police officer. Yeah. He's still living. The one white dude who beat up the black sister right on TV screens, and niggas ain't got him and picked him up.
So all I'm saying is I can't be worried about white justice with white people when black people don't have justice with black people. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. I can't. Look, white people have always done stuff. If you ever worked in their houses, I know people who were maids and the whole nine who work for white folks say we don't know nothing about these people for real, how they really get out. We be on some, this is what I read in the book, and this is what I think I know. But we have been the group who have been so up close and personal with these damn people, beginning from when we got off that goddamn boat. So we know how sick these people can be. But there used to be a time where black folks had their own system of justice. There used to be a time you wouldn't do shit to people because you know somebody's going to come handle your ass. Yeah. It's called honor. Yeah. That's where I want to know, where the hell did that go?
Shit, that shit.
Because now our honor is, they ain't doing nothing to white people. I don't give a damn about white people. That's their reality. I'm talking about my reality. If we can't be safe with each other, then what the fuck are we talking about?
I used to laugh when people used to tell me, why you always so hard on black people? You don't do that with white people. And then there was a video that I had to put up to a person when I was checking this older white dude because he got froggy. And I made sure I let him know that shit ain't going to roll. I check anybody that disrespects, period. I challenge. I went over to a white man when he was selling Confederate flags and other flags. I was out there, solo, as we like to call it, charging. you know. And I got a call from my man and said, B, this was popping. I went over there. Said, they ain't never had been a problem. And I've checked a bunch of niggas too, and these niggas know who they are. You know what I'm saying? So it's never been a problem. And this is not just on social media. This is face to face. So conflict and confrontation has never been an issue with me. And it's not to say I'm a tough guy, because I'm not. But I'm not no sourpuss, or I'm not no punk. And I'm definitely not no sucker. So at the end of the day, it's like we have to be able to give that same kind of energy on both sides.
On both sides of what?
Both sides, meaning like if you're going to give it to a white person, you better be able to give it to a black person. Hold every side accountable.
I feel you on that. I feel you. I'm gonna say I feel you. I gotta have a feel you button. But where do you think all of those real dudes went?
The 90s?
You know, the real dudes, where did they go that we're in 2019 and we got one people checking people solo bolo?
Crack, prison, and simulation. And comfortability.
Well, I think so you take crack and you take prison. And that's one popular, but I think it's more the back end. I think
back end.
Financial prosperity of the 90s and comfortability into the 2000s.
Okay.
Because the people who had drug problems and incarceration problems, a lot of them, though there's a lot of long incarceration, a lot of them have come home.
Yes, they have.
So
about 20 years.
But I'm saying, but a lot of them have come home at this point, and a lot of them. There's a good percentage that still have that same mentality. Right. It's just that they came home to a generation of assimilation and comfortability. So when they came home on those same ideas and that same honor and that same now we don't do that, they came home to I got mine, now you get yours, money over everything.
Gotta get mine. You gotta get yours.
So the people who they came home to, like, I think we always address, like, the civil rights era in the 60s, that adjustment of the 70s, to the crack era going into the 80s, and the mass incarceration part that goes into the 90s. But we leave out the puffy bling bling era of the 90s into the 2000s and how much of an influential effect, tied in also with social media, how that changed the landscape of male responsibility in our communities. Because we have a bunch of dudes who came up in an era who were constantly being told, money over everything, I got mine, you get yours, in an economy that even though on one end it was sending your people to prison, it was putting money in your pocket at levels that had not been seen. Going out of the middle of the 90s to the end of the 90s, it did not matter what you did for a living, you could economically prosper. If you were selling homes, selling cars, selling dope, you could make money coming out of the 90s. So you had a lot of brothers who was on their paper chase. And when brothers came home, 90s and 2000s, they wasn't trying to hear that. Because I had to get my money because you weren't here. And all that rah-rah you talking, 20 minutes later, you about to ask me for $20. So
shit. That's
so then you had the folks that wasn't on no criminal stuff. They was getting jobs. They was all coming out of college. Because you remember the 90s, folks was getting jobs.
That's true.
And as much as we want to talk about certain, coming out of Clinton administration, economically we were strong. Yes. So you had brothers that was getting solid 9-to-5s, sisters who was getting 9-to-5s, brothers who were gone, so sisters was going to college, getting degrees, everybody was getting established. You had the old generation that came home, the newer generation wasn't trying to hear them, and you had a disconnect. And so now you've got a generation removed, because these are the people who were adults in the 90s and 2000s, who disconnected from the group before. Now these are the children of those people who disconnected.
Gotcha.
That's a wide margin.
And then also when you look at it, when you also look at it, when you look at the people that were in front of us, right? The folks that had the acclaim, the entertainers. And we've gone back and forth about the Colin Kaepernicks of now compared to the Muhammad Ali's and the Jim Browns of yesteryear. You have now a plethora of money, big time money, going to these athletes, as we call it, the Jordan boom, where athletes before, some of them athletes had to work a regular job after the season was done. You get what I'm talking about? Literally, like endorsement deals, what's that called, right? So when you think about the Jordan boom, and there was a prominence of athletes now getting paid more money and entertainers getting paid more money as well as advertising dollars, why the hell would I speak on something when Nike said, hey, remember that $2 million endorsement check? You may want to kind of quiet up about that Rodney King shooting. So now I'm getting these checks that I've never got. So you're telling me that I am more rich from getting advertisement dollars than I am from actually playing the sports. And then as it got down deeper, it became I'm rich from playing the sport and advertising dollars. So now I'm wealthy. I'm no longer rich, because a lot of these niggas were rich. Now it comes into these niggas become wealthy. And it's a difference between rich and wealthy. So now you have this idea that I'm moving with this whole team of people that are trying to whisper in my ear like, maybe you shouldn't have to say something politically, because now I have to be more politically correct because there's more on the table. Before, black people were all, no matter if you was a star Negro, Jackie Robinson baseball player, guess where you were going? You're still going to that black community. You're not going to the white suburbs. And this is a kind of ideology that has been programmed to now that Jackie Robinson Negro is, guess what? He's hanging out in the suburbs and he's being invited to the parties and being treated as such. Where before, oh, Leroy, that was great that you scored 50 points. But you know you're sitting at the wrong place. You know you're supposed to be in the back. And that's coming from the white fan that was watching Leroy play basketball in the big rooftop. You know what I'm talking about? He was up on the stands where he wasn't on the floor. So those kind of things inserted to all of the other things progressively creates this idea that we're not going to have the Negroes like the Harlem Godfather. You're not going to have the Negroes like the Black Panthers, these courageous individuals and people that are going to stand up. There is too much for the Negro to lose in a system that's placed them in a comfortable position that they're going to go out all the way. As many Negroes push the issue, they back and fold when their check is on the line.
Well, hold on. Let's look at, since we're talking about checks, let's look at the superintendent of the police department in Chicago was fired by the black mayor.
What happened to having more police officers in power that's going to make a change? That didn't work? Okay.
Well, I don't know. I heard he had fallen asleep at the wheel, and so
No,
for real. I mean, like, they didn't want to.
Okay.
Lori Lightfoot didn't want to, shame his family or anything like that.
But she ended up
releasing that.
But she ended up firing. But we already knew he fell asleep on the wheel, though. We already knew that. So why did he? She, I'm from hearing, said he lied to her or lied. There's some
shit,
lie.
They lie to us all the time.
Yeah, but the truth. And before he could get, because he already announced his retirement. Yeah. But I guess before we can really walk out in a blaze of glory, she hit him with the bomb. Like, nigga, nah, you got it. We're going to speed up the process. You're fired. Pension. And now the pension is in question.
You don't get pension.
You don't get the same pension. So if he was going to retire on his own, the stipulations. I don't even know the story about this, but if he's a career law enforcement, what his retirement pension would be walking away on his own versus being terminated before he reached the end mark of his retirement is probably in a.
Now, where's the unity in that?
What you mean by that?
She's a black woman. He's a black man.
Does that matter?
They're in the second. Well, hold on. Let me paint the picture. They're in the second largest city of black folks in the United States, which is Chicago. Right. So this is what you don't get to do. New York. New York is first. And so, ain't even no white people in this equation. Even though the most violent parts of Chicago is the black areas. They don't do that stuff in the Polish areas, the Jewish areas, the Irish areas. They really don't. And
that's not saying they don't have crime.
Yeah, but they don't. Look, they shit is controlled. They have a community that respects and loves itself, and they don't be running rampantly doing drive-bys and shit. Again, I'm not trying to compare. They have 2 shootings and we have 1,000 and everybody killed. That's not the same goddamn thing. In Chicago, they have got that shit contained to an area. Mm. And then those areas are black professionals as well as regular black folks. Yeah. So that's why Chicago is very significant. They got one of the leaders of the Nation of Islam. He lives in Chicago. They have all these black activist groups live in Chicago. This is not Sacramento. By a stretch, it is not. You know what I'm saying? So what is this? Mm. She couldn't call this nigga up and be like, your ass need to really leave? So is this like where we getting to as a people?
Well, help me understand. That's why I'm trying to ask because I'm not familiar. Okay. This is the same dude with the Juicy Smollett.
He went on a mission to get this brother. Whether he did it or not,
Okay.
He
The
went on
gay
a
Tupac?
mission.
The gay Tupac?
The gay Tupac. But in the reality, he hasn't went on a mission to stop the crime and the violence in
Well,
Chicago.
he claimed he did.
Oh, really?
But it's hard to contain all you Negroes.
I get it. Well, I'm just trying to prep. First, I was just asking to make sure it's the same guy. That's in my head. Okay, the same
It
dude.
is.
So, what is the actual reason for his termination?
I heard the same thing Barry heard, that supposedly he had lied to
And we don't,
Mayor.
yeah.
And maybe, see, this is where black folks going to start, because this is just me. Wow, they just had the Jewish mayor. He didn't fire him.
Yeah, but I'm saying...
Is it not good to vote for black politicians?
I'm saying, maybe my question, is it a justified reason?
I don't know, because in Chicago,
Like, 'cause it
the
might
whole
just
damn
be-
system is corrupt.
But I'm saying, it may just be just sheer virtue. She the one that's is on her watch when it happened, but it had to been anybody for the same reason.
She just
fired.
got to the guy.
I don't know.
She just,
That's what I'm at.
she just became mayor. Like, she ain't even been in mayor for what? So, okay, it had to be at least 6 months or so, maybe close to a year.
Oh, so-
yeah, so she just started.
Then they might have been already planning on getting rid of him then.
Yeah, and you know what I learned is that she was over the police commission thing when they had all that stuff going down.
man, he was on
I seen that on
Friday.
Vice. Yeah. So
that-
there she was there. She ran strong as a lesbian woman, not necessarily a black woman. These are the things that I've been, because I keep up with Chicago news. I listen to WVON. I kind of keep up with places where they're heavily black populated. Because I think the lesson that black folks got to learn is just because y'all the same skin complexion don't mean that we're going to look out for each other. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? That's the sad part. And my thing is, I don't even know either one of these fools, to be honest with you. But I was like, wow, a black police chief and a black mayor. And they can't figure shit out.
But if
We
you-
keep saying that color matters. Representation matters. That's what you hear middle class Negroes say. Representation matters.
Whoa,
Presentation matters.
hold on. Not all us middle class.
No,
Negroes
you're
say
right.
that.
Not all of us do, but a lot of us do. No. And a percentage of us do.
Yes,
Thank you for teaching me
percentage.
that.
No, I'm not even disagreeing, but every person I've ever fired in my life was black.
Hey, I'm not.
I've only hired black people, but every person I've ever
But
fired
that's
was black.
that's your world you live in. But what I'm
So I'm
saying
saying-
is, when we say stuff like Barry just said, we need more black police. Well, shit, this man is the police chief.
Well, I'm saying
He's the superintendent of police.
Oh,
or whatever.
but maybe he
but,
needs to be fired.
I
And
don't-
the
hold on
mayor
second.
is a black woman.
I don't say we need. I'm being sarcastic.
I know,
because that's what
I know,
niggas
I know, I
gotta
know,
make it
Barry,
clear
I know,
because
I
we're not-
know.
You know, these people
I
be
know.
like, "Oh, Barry, no, Negroes."
No,
We're just
know.
basically saying this, fellow Negroes. We're saying that we keep on having this attitude of if we break into the system, there will be a change.
Right now.
And what we're exercising is this idea of when you look at Bill Cosby, who before something happened was pro-black. I mean, that nigga had a special where he was breaking down with his
Back in the 70s,
afro.
he was the bomb.
That nigga was breaking it down.
But that's also
And
what
he
started
gave us
drugging people too.
he gave us Fat Albert.
Simultaneously.
He gave us an idea of black family that a lot of us truly was identifying because that was our family, the Cosbys, or some who didn't have it said, I want to identify with that. So he gave us so much. And then all of a sudden, the nigga just kind of snapped and switched. Right? And it was like, whoa,
Damn,
what you saying, Cosby? So the reality of what we're saying is you're still a Negro. As much as you go in there thinking that I'm going to be a Negro that's going to have a white agenda but look black, all black folk ain't kinfolk. I'm telling a Negro, any position I'm going to get in, if some people tell me like, Barry, you should go and be political, and I tell them I don't really want that because
I think
the
you should run
chambers,
for city council or mayor.
the chambers of that, niggas know my agenda. I'm going to be black first before I'm anything.
That's why we need you to run.
Yeah, and niggas, and to be honest with you, I don't believe niggas like that. And for sure, the other people is not going to handle that. I don't believe it because Queen,
I think
how is
they're
it
so
that...
tired of carrying black people.
Listen,
I think that they would.
But how is it that we've had our own black mayor?
Was he
Had
black?
our own...
Was he black?
And it's the thing about it.
He happened to be black. Because happen to be black is different.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So niggas keep on thinking that this idea of putting black faces in white spaces is going to change the ideology. How can it be if these Negroes who are in these spaces think like they're white anyway? Or they think that there's some uppity ass Negroes that feel they're better than the majority of the Negroes that are trying to strive.
Barry, what were we supposed to do? What we supposed to do, Barry?
I'm gonna tell you one thing we were supposed to do.
I ain't never had my own nation before. What are we supposed to do?
Listen, and I think that the ultimate test for black chiefs, and let's go into a case in Arizona. I don't remember if I brought it up.
Okay.
I think I did. A black chief in Arizona, black woman. We appreciate your stand. That time when the police officer pulled out on the gun on that little 3-year-old girl, or whatever age she was, and the family for stealing or allegedly stealing something from the Dollar Tree or whatever the heck it was. That woman, the black chief, didn't have time for no judge, no jury. You know what she did?
What?
Fire that motherfucker. Out of here.
Okay.
You're not going to be a police officer. I don't give a fuck
maybe
what you
Eddie
did.
Johnson didn't get a chance to fire people.
Again, Queen. The mother effers go online, police officers, speaking on some bullshit. Guess what she does? Fires his ass. No, we're not going to go through no whatever. Here, black police chief. He is the golden child, the black knight riding in a white horse. Stephon Clark gets killed. What does he do? Not only does he keep the officers on duty in the same kind of community or same area, he basically says that the laws don't provide him enough, or the information is provided does not allow him to fire. So me looking at those examples is because I say to myself that these niggas play the same wicked game as some of the white supremacists play, and just play it a lot better. Because at the end of the day, if you're not going to fire, you're sure not going to say that these police officers that killed a black man that went national is going to resonate and patrol the streets once again. That shit is asinine.
Well, they investigated. I have to come in and do this part because I think we leave off the investigation. And they have found no wrongdoing. That these men were fearful for their lives.
Yeah.
And when you're a police officer, it is the most dangerous job on the planet.
So they say.
With that being said, Barry, being a police officer is dangerous. You can't get 2 Negroes to patrol right here. It's dangerous.
Right. You're right.
Everybody has a gun out here. This is the Wild West.
Yeah.
Do we?
Do we?
Shit. I think if everybody had a gun, that shit would look very different.
I would think so too. I would hope so. But it's the same thing. This Eddie Johnson guy had the ability.
Eddie Johnson shouldn't have got fired like that.
He had the ability.
He's a black man, for God's sakes.
He had the ability to fire, and this is the problem. He had the ability to fire officers that killed the young man, as well as covered it up. He sat there and participated and was complicit with the cover-up.
He sat there and had a ham sandwich and hung out with his buddies. That's what the hell.
And then when you turn around and try to get Smollett harder than you try to get the officers that were caught red-handed, and they have been shown to have been. They showed that these officers were complicit with the cover-up. He doesn't fire them.
I agree with that, Barry. But Smollett, whatever his name was, he should have got his ass arrested because he was so damn stupid. Who the hell goes to the subway 3 o'clock in the morning in fucking cold-ass Chicago?
But why do we care that he got fired?
Because he's a black man. And the black man has always been a victim of the circumstance.
Like Ginger by the resume for all the things that he did, shouldn't he have been fired?
Yeah.
Why are we not
applauding her? Well, they have to get a brother a plant.
Why are we not applauding her for executing the same level of efficiency that he's saying was done in Arizona?
Yeah.
She just took the job. And she recognized incompetence and probably corruption, and he's at the head of that for the department that she oversees. So the first thing she did is got rid of this bad
I agree with that, but I'm just going to play the advocate on the other side. Okay? Now, this is a black man. Okay?
You heck of fun.
And it's hard to be inside the man's system.
Man.
Okay? And then to have another black person come and fire. You know how hard it is for a brother to be police chief? We only have, 10 of them in the country? And we got 52 states. Is it 53 already? You know what I'm saying? What is he supposed to do? That's like when y'all blame. That's when y'all blame Don King for Mike Tyson biting off Holyfield's ear.
He's just a man.
You know what I mean? Y'all, I agree. I think that she should have fired his ass. I'm just messing.
Yeah. No, we definitely know.
I agree.
But what you're saying is exactly of what a percentage of us will kind of say.
Yeah.
I mean, we stand by, we stand by and go get our fixings from a guy that, I mean, let's be honest, with a guy that has paid off women,
that's so
right?
true.
And for a guy that hasn't really been charged, but the allegations are heavy, and it's not 1, it's not 2, it's not 3, it's not 4, and we still go get our fixings. We don't know how to be able to.
Fixings. You know why? Because he gave us indivisible.
He
for liberty and justice for none of us.
And he gave he gave us some soul food, and then he also gave us gentrification.
Oh shit!
I mean, but we stand by it. So I don't
know.
know.
Eating. Once we start eating, we don't even know
exactly.
what's going on around
So the
us.
reality, black people, we tend to accept bad behavior. I mean, black girls are missing right now.
Yeah, that's real talk.
Black girls are missing right now.
Enough to fill
black
the
girls
stadium.
are falling victim to sex trafficking.
Yep.
And niggas, what are we talking about? Ain't nobody speaking on that. No one's sitting there standing on that. Nobody's, you know what I mean? Because the real truth, reality is niggas who are in position of getting fixings. You should be saying and talking about that. And that becomes a thing to where a lot of us, when we start talking about black economics, we start talking about, because none of you leaders, so-called individuals who are in power, was talking about none of that. Because you want to be politically correct and talk about all of us. And that's what frustrates me.
I get you.
Because it's okay for everyone to sit there and be inclusive, except for us. We cannot do that.
Barry, I'm gonna need you to have some forgiveness.
Yeah, okay.
Well, like this. Go ahead before I get to the
because I
forgiveness.
think with this point, I was kind of halfway joking earlier, talking about how I said that we don't care. Like, an issue is that it's called sex trafficking now because young white girls were getting caught up in the trade.
Right on.
When it was black, it was pimping. It was just pimping.
Yep, right
like
on.
when it was just us, and
That's
it was
so
pimping
true.
and pandering. You get a misdemeanor, you be home for dinner.
And
Right.
when it
Now-
was criminal, it was called marijuana.
Yeah.
When now it's the white industry, it's called cannabis.
Cannabis.
Go ahead.
But why I'm saying the difference is why it changed over to sex trafficking and it's federal and you get an automatic dime off top for being involved with it is because they care enough about their people who are getting caught up, and they were like, no, we're going to throw the book at you, we're going to hit you with both barrels, and we're going to make it such a huge issue if you get caught doing this to our girls. It shifted from pimping to sex trafficking. I just said it in jest. I said that we don't care. The issue is that they come after us, like they come after Cosby versus Weinstein, is because on the pecking order, they're like, we gonna get somebody, we gonna get them.
Yeah.
We don't rally to get Weinstein. We didn't rally to make pimping our little girls out a sex trafficking issue. We did. No,
We
not,
did before.
not like that.
Back in the day, we did.
No.
Back in the day, niggas couldn't do none of that stuff.
Pimping.
No, I mean, catching up, people took stands back in the day. I'm not saying now they don't.
Either maybe I'm from California.
No, they didn't take stands where I was from either.
That's what I'm saying.
Because
Like,
we celebrated the pimp because he helped to pay your
Well,
life.
but when I say when the Panthers came up, they that was not going down. That's what I'm saying. Like the drugs and pimping, all that. It was.
This is where we are early in our conversation with the some, but not all. There was a group over here that wasn't against that.
That's true though.
Yes,
But there was a lot of areas that
It
pimping was not
depends
looked
on
at.
if you had a righteous pimp.
Yeah.
There's something called a righteous hustle.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But I think what the difference is, we don't get behind we don't come after the people who harm us like other groups come after the people that harm us, and we don't try to protect us like other groups try to protect themselves.
We try to protect our turf for drugs.
So we'll keep finding ourselves in this loop of issues and problems until we care like that. Not our concern, not it hits a radar, not it's I feel
personally happens to
when you care.
When it personally happens,
And with the care with that is that you put an action behind it,
See,
not just an emotional response.
It becomes a verb.
When you actually when you get that feeling, that emotion, that whatever, that's fine. You feel like that, you appreciate whatever. Now put an action behind it. If you've yet to put the action behind the emotion, you don't really care like that.
So this forgiveness, Barry, I want to talk to you about this forgiveness. Because I think even with our local police chief, you got to have some forgiveness.
You funny.
You're two black men. And I feel like maybe the answer is to have some forgiveness. Like this young brother of the police who was in the wrong damn apartment. I never know nobody going I'll never go to the wrong damn house when I'm going home. But anyway, and then she came in fully locked and loaded and then killed this black man. And I feel like we have to have more forgiveness, Barry.
And now the brother done got
He got a forgiveness award. It's like white people saying, you did very well.
Yeah.
Good job.
Good job.
He got a forgiveness award because of what?
Because he hugged this woman and was like, thank you for killing my brother. Because at the end of the day, I knew that you were confused. And now my brother's in a better place. I blame some of this shit on religion. I'm just going to be honest.
No.
Because don't nothing have us doing no shit like this but religion. But God.
I mean, but you know, G-O-D.
Shamanalai is a shaman.
White G-O-D.
Yeah, boy. Because, you know, that's some heavy shit right there. Somebody told me, well, you can't measure. Shut the fuck up.
Listen. Docileness, comfortability, and the way that we react, right? Because it really wasn't us, it was them. It creates this idea, and because we've been programmed that in order for us to get to the higher plane of heaven, that you have to forgive, you know. And I think that singing those psalms in your back of your head and you wanting to be a better person, and it also creates this idea that most niggas who don't forgive and react like us, we are not a part of the movement that wants to connect the races together, right?
Are you talking about Al Sharpton?
No, I'm not saying shit. I'm just saying Al Sharpton's a whole different story.
Because he said he is the movement.
Yeah, that nigga, we ain't gonna talk about that. That old nigga. But the reality, what is happening in this case, the case has now went from a whole different storyline that will help now get this police officer free. She will not even do a bit of time because now you have forgiveness, you have the key witness dead, murdered. We don't even talk about that no more. I guess we just believe the narrative that he was a big-time drug dealer. And I'm not saying that he wasn't a drug dealer, but I think that we just allowed it to just kind of go. And I don't think he was a big-time drug dealer to where he was going to get assassinated. And then all of a sudden, the two guys that got picked up, we ain't never heard from them again. You know what I mean? So she is actually going to walk. And because we have such a forgiving heart, it does not allow us to build in the way that we do.
Scared to death, Barry.
Yeah, we are.
I think we are scared. We have been in the country with these people who have lynched us, who have murdered hundreds and lynched thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of folks, who treated us worse than they would treat like a snake or whatever, the lowest thing on the planet.
And even remember
some of us are scared shitless.
Yeah, remember when they had to bus us and police had to protect us from white people being upset that we were getting bused into their buses?
All I'm saying is I'm not trying to say that the brother shouldn't have did what he did.
I'm saying he shouldn't have did what he did.
But what I'm saying is when you understand fear. See, I remember elders saying, you ain't never seen crackers the way I seen crackers. And they said the word just like that. These are elders who had to work in these people's houses and rock their brats to sleep and, watch how they would treat other black people and could not move. Could not move. I think it would behoove us to understand that era. The more we try to act like history didn't happen, the more suffering we acquire.
Yeah.
Because some of this shit we don't have to go through. If we just pay attention and really learn from the past, we know who these people are.
Yeah. And I think that's a problem that we have. I think that some of us don't recognize the past as being what the future is and being what our present is. And that's just truth. Because if you think about the stories and we talk about mirroring about fear, let's think about it. You had enslaved people, being the cleaners of the house, being all of this, the maid, that's the word I'm looking for, the maid of the crib. If he or she would get one thing wrong, butler or maid, if he or she would get one thing wrong, that possibility for being not only berated but being beat on a drop of a dime was evident. And who as a person wants to deal with that physical pain? And I think that sometimes because of this jaded and watered down history of enslavement and outside of enslavement that we don't talk about. I was just watching Departed, and they had a crazy, a real interesting scene when, again, as I said earlier, when black people were being bussed into these neighborhoods, these white neighborhoods, where white folks in Boston, and this is what, in the 80s, right? Not the 80s, 70s, maybe 60s, whatever. It wasn't that far away.
No.
They were very angry. They were upset. And now you got to understand that these people all had kids, right? And you still hear places like Boston is very prejudiced, is very racist still in a sense. I don't know what forgiving does for moving us forward. What constantly saying we accept your apology or lack thereof. Forgiveness looks to me with action as well as really taking account of the things that have fractured the black community. And I don't think that just saying it happened a long time ago, get over it, because I could get over it if it was just enslavement. And in 1965, when we were allowed allegedly to go free, that's all that happened. Now it was on. No, I'm just saying. No, what I'm saying, Queen. It stopped. Like in 1865, like that was just done. Then Negroes were striving. There was no black codes. There was no Jim Crow laws. There was no redlining. If that was just the enslavement part, and then everything was self-abuse that we did, okay, I could get it. But this shit has lined up all the way to 2020.
But you know they can't stop their thought process.
And that's what I'm saying.
I agree with you.
So the reality,
it's just like breathing.
Exactly. But the reality is, it's always been the same fucking thing. It's just a different way of how they want to level it. That's why with this forgiveness, it's a damn joke. You don't forgive your enemy. You just don't. You may be able to forgive behind closed doors, but you don't do that in front.
No, I wasn't. And so this
is the look on your face.
The last sentence is the part that I really get to, because forgiveness is internal. And so you don't need the other person to co-sign in order for you to forgive.
Not at all.
So meaning if the brother went home and he just sat on the couch and prayed to whoever he prayed to and came to a moment where he said, I got to release this off of me, or I'm going to kill every, white girl that looked like her on the street. Like, I'm not going to be okay if I don't let this go. Yeah. Like, if he came to that moment and was like, all right, I'm going to release this. That's a conversation between him and whoever he prayed to.
All right.
That's not a conversation that you do in front of worldwide coverage in the presence of the person who killed your brother to emotionally let them off the hook for the harm that they caused and the fear that they instilled in the community, because it's bigger than her just shooting his brother. That entire community of people who live there are under the impression that law enforcement people will walk up in here and just shoot me. A fear that they did not have prior to that incident. Nobody was thinking about, I'm in my house chilling, eating ice cream, watching TV, and somebody will come to my front door and execute me. That wasn't a fear a lot of people had prior to this. That created a fear. That created a trauma. So this is way bigger than you just letting her off the hook. So if you need to go home and forgive, go on home, however you do it, like at the crib, go on and do that. But the public display of I need to get in front of everybody and emotionally let her off the hook, that's where it hit me.
So let me say this before we close and wrap up, and I agree. But I also think that was also symbolic of a playbook. Yeah. When they lynched people, they did not lynch you in the closet. They lynched you very publicly to send a message.
And postcards for it.
Yeah. But I mean, imagine all of us standing here could not move and watch somebody get lynched, and you can't do shit.
Nah.
What do you think? They say that African Americans' DNA have changed because of slavery, and I'm gonna go further to say, and all the shit that happened after slavery.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Because it's deeper than that.
100 years of
needing to immediately to hug her and forgive her says something about that time period. In the playbook, that's a public display that we should all follow suit.
No.
Yeah, you're right. I totally agree. You know, and I think that, you know, us continuing to do that creates the wrong narrative from all parties. It creates a wrong narrative for them to think that they can just keep doing the bullshit, and it creates a wrong narrative for us that all we have to do is forgive and we're going to walk into the gates of heaven. Real quick, special, right on the minute as we are live, Kamala Harris has now said, I'm dropping out the presidential race.
Thank God.
Wow.
She has dropped out. Why do you say thank God?
Because she was a joke any goddamn way. You know, we just got rid of the police chief. I mean, not we, but the system is fine. I think we got to stop putting these very poison. I'd rather deal with the devil straight up, not the devil's representative, not devil with black coding or colored coding or whatever the hell we call people like her. I feel like I just rather deal directly with the damn devil. I don't want to deal with his, you know, people like, I'm in your world, but I'm in their world too. No.
Yeah.
So, good riddance. Bye.
What you think, brother?
What you think?
I don't follow her enough, but I think I think the theme that most of our hear is some but not all. And I think that we are all different individuals. I think something that goes too with just I don't know, closing out was the trauma that passed down from slavery. We have not all been here the same amount of time.
That's real talk.
Nor have we all had the same degree of trauma to our lineage. So there are some of us who have way more ingrained damage done. And those those phobias, and that trauma that makes them go to default settings for stuff is different than others. So that's why I think, like I said, there's not a blanket way to deal with all of us, because we're not all coming from the same place.
And that's why I did say African Americans. I don't think everybody's an African American. Okay. I'm talking about African Americans who were enslaved in these here United States.
Oh no, but I think there's a difference with if you were enslaved because your family got here at 1850 versus if you were enslaved because your family got here at 1690. How many generations of abuse and trauma that it roots into your system?
I agree.
That's why I say I don't think that we're it's all the same.
But there is something that seeing that boy hug that woman, all of us got the same program. Yeah. That's like you having your PhD for 25 years, and I just got mine for 10.
Well, I think
we still have to go through the PhD program.
Well, as soon as he hugged it, I thought you got and you got what the. And I think that's the difference.
I got you. Okay.
So the ones that got the certain program was like, he can forgive, he can find his heart. And the other was like, what the hell?
Yeah, right on.
And here's the reality
that's
as well.
Talk.
Here's the reality of this whole thing that's coming into play. She started off pretty dope. I mean, I remember being on a newscast, and they were asking our opinion. It was one of the first debates. I think second or first debates, and she killed it. She was like, it was like she was on her way.
Obama
but I think that the reality of her backload of being top cop at one particular time, and me sharing some space with her, kind of conversating with her, knowing that she was saying the right things during the time with the Stephon Clark, but then her history proved otherwise. It almost is like, I tell niggas all the time, be on the right side of history. Be on the right side of right. And I think sometimes we get a lot of pushback because we think outside the box of many Negroes, because you and I, our brother Jermaine, and so many others see what's to come. And we saw this emergence of black empowerment coming around again. And niggas, no, we're going to do the right thing. And it's like, no, we're going to stay on our square. And now it's coming around again. And her connecting to us wasn't viable, wasn't visible, wasn't real, because you spent so much time feeling good. And this is not knocking the fact that she has a white husband, but you felt so good resonating with the other side. So now coming off as, I'm now a black woman, I'm a part of the struggle, I get it. Yeah, maybe you do get it. But when it was time to stand up for it, because getting it and standing up for it is two different things. Don't talk to me at a coffee table and telling me you get it. But then when it's time for policy, when it's time to stand up and speak up, during the time when it's hot, not during the time when it's trendy. Or I say, not even trendy or hot, during the time no one even thinks there's an issue, it really shows who the hell you really work for. And I think that this is a very significant dropout, because I felt that she would probably be one of the last of the Mohicans. But this also speaks to her history of not really being for black folks, not connecting with the black women the way she should have, not connecting with black organizations, or creating that idea for black people that at least Obama, when he was doing his thing, it resonated.
He had Michelle. Yep. Go ahead.
Exactly. And had Michelle. And had Michelle, which was a big deal.
Yeah, she didn't have
It did not resonate. And as well,
she had Robert.
Not only did she not have Michelle, but she just didn't have anything that resonated with us. We started kind of stripping down all of her kind of things that looked to not really play a good part for black people.
I think she's also part of the awakening that black folks got to stop voting for people because they're black. I was very proud of people's responses to her, like, no, you don't get to do that shit because you're a black woman. No, you don't. I was very proud of that, because sometimes we vote for people because they're black, and then we don't get shit out of them. People loved Obama. He was pretty good at a lot of shit. He gave every group something but his own. Who deserve it the most, because we're the one who's been under all this goddamn tyranny.
Yeah.
But, he was like, the fact that you have me, I am your reparations. And I was like, oh yeah, Negro, I'll never. So when I seen Camilla coming, when I seen Cory Booker's stanky ass coming, who was the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, with all the shit they got going in Newark, I was not voting. Could not even support that man.
How you going to be the president with? But you know what? We could say the same thing that what was Obama in Illinois? Was he the senator in Illinois?
State senator.
Barely warmed the seat.
Exactly.
He wasn't there, but.
And
I feel like we need to start looking at some of these presidencies and see who did what for black folks. And see
no.
Let's
not stop there. Let's look at
That's the last one who brought up black people.
Well, yeah, and he got killed afterwards.
Yeah.
Let's look at all of them.
Killed at all. Go ahead.
No, and let's look at all of it. Let's not look at just the presidency. Okay. Let's look at every seat from council. I just got done telling you. Not one sponsorship from niggas who have positions of power who are black. And a black shop Black Friday.
Scary.
I'm just saying.
Niggas scared of revolution.
So what do you niggas want us to do? I mean, how do you want it to?
Change.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it won't be.
That's the last moment.
Because I would rather die being a fighting Negro in my morals and morale, my integrity, than sitting here and trying to change up and switch up and make niggas feel comfortable. I'm not here for that comfortability, because we've been comfortable for too long and it's gotten us nowhere. We've segregated. We were segregated. We were integrated. And when you look at the time frame, because we're still being segregated right now, in segregation we had a lot more functionality and then integration. And these are facts. Because you can't go to cities all over America and see thriving black communities. You just don't see that often. Are there some? Yeah. But it's not in particularly all places, especially a place like California that continues to talk about that they're this more liberal state and open end. Come on. They have a place called Folsom that was basically a Negro space.
The Negro bar.
And guess what? They're trying to take the Negro bar name away from it because they don't want to have nothing to do with their Negro heritage. At all.
That's a good way of putting it.
I'm just being real.
It's always, if you can scratch America, there's going to be some Negro.
I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest, because once you even look at the time frame, when you look at Sacramento, because that's where we are, but we're functioning everywhere. They have the timeline, and you don't see any black people in that timeline, but we're a very integral in the timeline of here, Sacramento. So to me, it just speaks to the volumes of how I put it. I am not just for black people because they have a black face. I don't believe all Negroes are my brothers and sisters, even though I will salute you as brother and sister. I have some white brethrens, I have some white sisterins, and that they understand what it is. Wow. That's not me negating, and that's what people have to understand. I don't hate white people at all. I don't hate no culture. I judge you on your character. But what I will say, white people, they do have the privilege and they do have access to the power that I want. So at the end of the day, if you are a person that stands in front of my way, you will be rolled over just like anybody else.
You should just marry a white woman, then you have access to that power.
Well,
okay, y'all, we got to wrap up.
I'm just saying. That's going to go. Me and Jermaine going to talk about that, the situation with the basketball player on Say Something Podcast.
Right
Say Something Podcast. We are going to be live. I promise you today. Say Something Podcast is going to go live. Huh?
Y'all so funny.
I'm getting ready to get on the road. But
I know.
We'll talk about
Thank y'all for tuning in.
Tune in next Tuesday, y'all.
All right, peace.